Hello everyone. Right now we're going to take a look at a pale Neapolitan cake with a rose and a leaf. This one doesn't have the rose and the leaf yet, but it is mid-process here. And we are using the little tiny roses I made in the last tutorial. Okay, so basically I'm going to show you the color combinations first. First we have strawberry cake. And this, since it's a pale Neapolitan, I have a Dusty Rose from Sculpey, and this is Primo Translucent, and that's about the right color combination right there, guys. Here I have white Sculpey because it's a more yellow-based, kind of creamy, and this is the Translucent Primo again, and that's about the right mix. And then for the chocolate color, it's Burnt Umber Primo, and you use a little bit less of that than there was the white and the Dusty Rose. And then for the actual outside of the cake, you want it to be a little bit brighter and not see-through, so I use half to a little under half of the white Sculpey to the Primo. So mix those thoroughly, and then I roll it flat. You can do it with a roller. This is the thickest setting on my pasta roller, and I use the pasta roller because I want the cake layers to be even and the same thickness, but you don't have to do that. For this cake we're doing 2 of the pink layers, 2 of the chocolate layers, and 1 vanilla layer. So I'm trying to be careful to stack them straight on top of each other. And I do pink, brown, white, pink, and brown. So here we go. And that's our cake. So that's the inside of the cake. I'm going to roll it just to make sure they're nice and even. And then the color that was about half of the white Sculpey, I rolled that out on the 3rd thickest setting of my pasta roller, so it's a little bit thinner. I cut 1 circle for the top, and the circles here are 1-inch round. If you don't have a 1-inch round cutter, you could draw a 1-inch round circle on a piece of paper and cut it out and trim the clay out around it. But I like using the cutter because we know it's going to be the same size, and if you use a pasta roller, you know that they're going to be the same thickness in layers. So that is the top, bottom, and layers of our cake. Now this over here was actually the outside of the cake. It's on the 3rd thickest setting. I trim a flat edge at the bottom, and I place my cake right on top of it on its side, and I trim the excess clay away. I cut a flat edge at an odd angle on my table there. There we go. And then I smooth the edge on and I start rolling. And I roll till I get to the very end. And I trim off that excess of the strip. So from here, I start smoothing in the sides to the top, trying to get it as smooth as possible. And this is much like my other cakes. This part is the same portion, and I'm going to dump it in my glitter like I usually do. For those of you who have seen it, the only thing that will be really new is going to be when we add the end and we make the leaf and attach the rose. So for those of you who have already seen this process, you can feel free to fast forward past it. For those that are new, we're just smoothing the sides, trying to keep it round as possible. So we roll it a little bit, we press it flat. We're just trying to get that nice cylindrical shape back. Okay. And then, if you get lint on it, as I did here, you can pick it off with a safety pin. My work surface is clean, but we have a fire in the area and a lot of dust and ash flying around. Now I take a little bit of TLS and some glitter. And the glitter I'm using is clear, and it's extra fine. This is the clear from the Martha Stewart line. I buy it online now because, oh no, actually this one I do buy at Michael's. The Martha Stewart balls is what I use for the snow cones. Michael's started carrying a brand called Impressions and stopped carrying the Martha Stewart line, but it's super crystal clear, and they do still carry the glitter. The glitter is the Martha Stewart Crystal Fine. What I just put on my hands, this is liquid Sculpey. It's called Translucent Liquid Sculpey. I think my bottle, oh, this is it. I get a big bottle. It just costs a tiny bit more than the small bottle, and the small bottles are only 2 ounces. So it's a big savings if you can do it that way. Okay, so I just coated the cake in the TLS, and then I rolled it around in glitter as you saw. And then you're going to want to let it rest. I put this one in the refrigerator for about an hour because it's 90 degrees here today. Well, it's actually 97 degrees here today. And that makes my clay a little too soft. So you want to try to center yourself over the top of it as close as you can. It's hard to gauge center from back far away from it, but I cut them straight in half. And there's your cake with its layers. And then I cut them in thirds. Now this is because I like to get 6 slices out of my cake for my charms. So, there we go. So here are my cake slices. I'll cut this one too, might as well. And I do actually usually do a couple cakes at a time, so I will just let them sit overnight and then cut them in the morning. But you can definitely put them in the fridge if you want to. I tend to not to because I don't want to forget about them and have condensation on them, but it doesn't really hurt it. It's just preference. So to texture your cake, I take a safety pin and start going in tiny circles. And actually doing multi-layered cakes like this is really great because it trains you to make the circles small, especially if you try to do it layer by layer like I am doing. So I just go layer by layer, but you want tiny small little circles, and layered cakes are perfect for learning that texture. And you just do little circles over one another. It's really pretty colors together, pale pink, pale chocolate. So this was called my pale Neapolitan cake. I made a couple cakes of them a couple years ago and I really liked it, but I just haven't gotten a chance to do them again. And I wanted to show you guys because they were one of my favorites. So just continuing going on in little circles. Texture, 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 texture. So you get the idea. Lighting seems really blue behind us today. So after you actually texture both sides, bake it in the oven to harden it. Since these are rather big, I actually throw them in for 30 minutes. And I'm going to make a leaf in front of you. To make a leaf, I'm going to tear out a little circle. And the reason I do this once the cake is hard is so I don't distort the cake when I'm attaching the leaf and the rose. And Why is there so much dust and lint today? Try this one more time. And this is actually one of the reasons why I work on white paper, guys. I work on, I have a thickness of like 5-6 sheets at least. And then what happens is when I decide to work with white, I just remove the top sheet. And then there's a nice clean sheet underneath it that doesn't have lint on it. So, still a little bit too big. So this is a pretty tiny ball, and I wrap it into a tear shape by rolling the ball on one side, so teardrop shape. To make the leaf shape, I press the teardrop from the tip to the back, so it gives us a fat, nice leaf shape. Then I take my safety pin and make an indent in the center. Now what I do is I take the tip and I pull to give that nice shape. Now from here I am going to put a little bit of TLS on the top back left-hand portion of my cake, and that's where I'm going to attach my leaf. I press down, I want part of it on the very top, and I pull down on the side. I take a little TLS and put it underneath the bottom part of the little leaf. Sorry guys. And then I press the leaf down to make sure it's nice and adhesed. I pull the safety pin down on there, and that attaches it nicely to the cake. And then, like I said, if you have any lint, you could pick it off with your safety pin. And so there we go. Now for the rose. Let's see what little rose I want here. I'll do this one. So from here, I am going to put a little bit of TLS on top of the soft clay and press my rose down into the clay and the TLS. So there we have a nice little rose on our cake. Now something that I also like doing is sometimes I will twist 2 strings, like 2 little snakes of the cream, and roll it across the bottom of the back like a vine, and then I'll sink another rose to the very bottom back. And a little rose like right there on the bottom back. But here we go, and it would cook again. To see what I mean by the vines, check out the confetti cake tutorial. The confetti cake tutorial has vines and butterflies, and I do the same thing, just with the off-white that we use for the leaves and the outside of the cake. You could always do more. If you wanted, you could have a couple tiny leaves instead. It doesn't have to go over the back side. You could have a couple tiny leaves, have one coming out this way, one coming out this way, because you could always make them smaller. But I do like doing it like this, and then having a vine come across the back with a little flower right on top at the bottom there. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll try to be doing a few more baked goods soon. Thanks, guys.